Hi, this is Nanette Hosenfeld with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Thursday, August 20th, 2020. Looking at fire potential impacts over the next few days, you can see there's quite a bit going on, especially today. Today we'll see a mix of wet and dry thunderstorms across the northern part of the Great Basin with drier storms into central Utah. We are looking at some gusty winds and low relative humidities this afternoon across the orange highlighted area. And this is of significant concern because there was quite a bit of lightning in this area yesterday, and we've already seen a lot of new starts from the lightning yesterday. So strong winds and low relative humidities following a day of big lightning is definitely a concern. Also today, further across the south, we are looking at just some lingering record heat across the far southern part of the Great Basin. So a lot going on today. Moving into Friday, we see the moisture decreasing, and so we're going to just hold on to storms across southern Utah, southeastern Utah, mostly dry storms, and continuing to look at winds across western Nevada and into Idaho and western Wyoming. As we move into Sunday, the area of gusty winds decreases and is mainly across the Snake River Plain in Idaho. And also on Sunday, we are looking at the potential for some mixed wet and dry thunderstorms across the far southern part of the Great Basin. Over the past 24 hours, we did have quite a bit of storm activity. You can see the precipitation reports on the map on the left. So some areas did see some pretty decent rain. What's really notable is the amount of lightning you can see on the map on the right. Really quite a bit of lightning across southern Idaho into Utah and into Nevada as well. And then into northern Rockies, you can see they had a really large lightning outbreak. The fire activity mirrors our lightning activity map quite well. You can see we had a large number of new starts across the northern part of the Great Basin. Over the past 7 days, it has continued to be bone dry across the area. We are really seeing an unusual weather pattern where the entire Great Basin is incredibly dry. Typically, this time of year, we would be seeing much more precipitation across the southern part of the area, but the entire Great Basin has remained quite dry. The only exception is across the far western part of the Great Basin, where we have started to see a wetter pattern. We've started to see some more storms across the western part of the Great Basin, but other than that, it's really been quite dry. If we look at our ERC charts, you can see ERCs have begun to come down across the western part of the Great Basin where we have seen precipitation, but further east it is really significant how high the ERCs are. You can see a large portion of Utah that is above the 97th percentile. So record-setting ERCs, and we've been in that territory for quite some time. Continuing to look at those ERCs, GB26 in northern Utah is well above record levels and has been for some time. We are expecting some gusty winds across GB26 today. We do have a high risk out for that area. Further south into GB35, again, the typical drop we see with the monsoon just didn't really happen this year. You can see how ERCs have remained really high for quite some time. Live fuel moistures are trending downward across the Great Basin, with some places at record dry levels. You can see Joe's Valley, live fuel moisture continues to trend down across the Great Basin. Some areas are looking at record dry numbers. Jake's Valley in eastern Nevada is right at record dry levels for sagebrush. The satellite this morning shows high pressure in place across the Great Basin. It's centered right over the southern part of the Great Basin. We will see moisture rotating around that will bring us the thunderstorms today, as well as gusty winds further north. For today, really a lot going on the map here. You can see we have a high risk across areas further north for the wind, and then across eastern Utah and southern Utah for the lightning potential. So really big day. And outside of the Great Basin as well, you can see a lot of high risks in northern Rockies as well as in northern California and Rocky Mountains. So it's a really, really active day across the western United States today. So looking at today in more detail, you can see those forecast wind gusts, really gusty winds expected across northern Nevada into southern Idaho and across portions of Utah as well. And the image on the right is showing our forecast minimum relative humidities that are expected to be below critical levels across many areas. The image on the right is showing the forecast weather for today. You can see that we are expecting showers and thunderstorms across much of Utah, Nevada, and parts of Idaho. The gray areas on the map are areas of smoke and haze, and that is an impact from the large number of fires in California. As we move into Friday, we lose the winds. They're not quite as strong on Friday. Still remaining quite dry across the Great Basin. You can see that dry air across the northern part of the area. We will see some breezy winds, elevated winds Friday afternoon, but not quite as strong as what we're looking at this afternoon. And relative humidity is still below critical levels across much of the area. The image on the right is showing our forecast weather, and you can see not as widespread an area of storms as expected on Friday, mainly the higher terrain of central and southern Utah. As we move into Saturday, we start to see the potential for some moisture across western Nevada, remaining dry further north. If we look at that in more detail again, you can see winds not too strong on Saturday. We could see some elevated winds across the Snake River Plain, and again, just keeping those critically dry relative humidities across much of the area. Over the next 3 days, the main focus of precipitation is expected to be across the higher terrain of central and southern Utah. Those areas will see the best chance for wetting rain. As we move into Sunday, we still keep some moisture in place across the Great Basin. Really looks like moisture starts to increase from the south, and you can see on our significant fire potential map on the right that some of those southern PSAs finally begin to turn yellow. As we move into Monday, looking at that moisture continuing to increase and move north. We see a larger number of our PSAs across the southern part of the Great Basin moving from brown to yellow. And then moving into Tuesday, really similar pattern. So we're looking at the potential for a pretty good moisture surge early next week that could move into a large portion of the Great Basin. And then finally on Wednesday, looking at the potential for some drier air moving into the west, but keeping those storms in place across the south. So early next week, looks like we do get some deeper moisture moving into the south that will stay in place for the duration of the week. Over the next 7 days, you can see more accumulations expected on the map than what we saw in the 3-day period. Things are looking pretty good for the southern part of the Great Basin next week, as well as parts of eastern Nevada. The 8 to 14-day outlook, though, things don't look quite as optimistic. The Climate Prediction Center is calling for a return to our abnormally hot and dry conditions. So that's it for the forecast. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Our information is on the screen, and you can also find us on Twitter. Thanks.